Good morning, Freedom Village, and welcome to our coffee hour brought to you by Mix and Mingle, part of the Activities Committee. The purpose of this is to meet some new residents who have moved into Freedom Village and moved in after COVID took over and closed down our wonderful parties that we used to have when we introduced new folks. Today, Lynn McCoskey is going to introduce some new ones. We hope you will enjoy a cup of whatever beverage you prepared at home, that you will enjoy the cinnamon bun that was provided by Food Services. And while you're enjoying that, we hope you will enjoy these interviews.
Okay, thanks, Barbara. I am Lynn McCoskey and I chair Mix and Mingle. And this has been an event that we've been working on for probably 5 to 6 weeks. So we're hoping it comes together. We're hoping you're gonna meet our new residents. I have been very impressed so far. So let me introduce you first to Lee and Diana Strebel. They are celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary.
58.
So 58, I'm sorry, I took a couple years off. 58th anniversary. And I'm gonna let Lee tell you a little bit about his background, and then we'll talk with Diana for a little bit. Go ahead, Lee.
Well, my background is quite simple. I graduated from high school and didn't know what I was gonna do, didn't know where to go, considered college and gave up on the idea. Went to work, became a general factory worker at a place called Corlett Turner Company. From there, I went to being a tool and die apprentice. My wife, after we got married, talked me into going back to school in the evenings. I went to about 10 years of night school. Got enough engineering credits and things that they made me a design draftsman, then a design engineer. Then I became assistant plant manager. We moved the plant up to Holland. When we moved the plant to Holland, I became plant manager. So that's my background pretty well.
Sounds like, yeah.
Worked here in Holland for about 30 years, retired here.
So you're almost native Holland people.
About 47 years we've been in Holland.
Yeah. What do you like to do for fun, Lee?
Well, I got a box camera from my parents when I was 14 years old and fell in love with photography, and everybody here already knows the pictures I take are posted on our door and they're always there. And I've been taking pictures for 65 years, I guess it is.
Have you hooked up with our photography club?
No, I didn't even know you had one.
We do have one. I know Bill Clarecoper is
Oh, I
in
know
it.
Bill.
You know
I
Bill?
Yeah.
They did it one time, and then we have Bud Getchell on the 4th floor. Takes beautiful landscape shots. They used to live up in Glen Arbor, so he has some outside of his door as well. But there is a group of people that do enjoy photography, so you might think about that.
Yeah, and then also we worked, both of us worked at the pet project, making the little wheelchairs for third world countries.
Oh, yes, with Al Kindig.
Yeah, with Al Kindig.
With Al Kindig, right. Al gave a presentation when.
And Clear Coper.
And Bill?
Yeah.
Well,
He was a painter, he slashed paint on everything, so.
Don't let Bill hear you say that. Diana, what about you? I understand you both were born and raised in Chicago.
Right.
Went to school together?
Well, actually, because he was a year ahead of me
Okay.
in school, so.
So you guys, after graduation, when did you get together?
We started out, we lived a block apart, the same block in Chicago. We lived on kitty corners of the block. And, because she was a better athlete than any of the guys in the neighborhood, we called her a stupid girl and made her stay away from us. So she didn't like us. And
You didn't want the
we
competition.
didn't like her, so.
Well, I understand too that you have 3 children and 4 grandchildren, and that you're an accountant.
Yeah.
My note here says that you were the general accountant for the Ottawa County United Way.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. We appreciate that in Ottawa County. Anything else you wanna share? What do you enjoy doing, Diana? Reading, fun? What do you do for fun?
well, like I said before, she can't read anymore because of her eyes.
Oh, that's right, you did
She's
say
had
that.
trouble. She was an avid reader. She did a lot of crocheting. She did, cross stitch stuff.
I wanna suggest
She was
there is a
also-
magnifier downstairs.
Hmm.
That,
Yeah, but it don't work
oh, it doesn't work, okay.
for her.
Well, there's a lot of other things that you can try. How about singing? There's a choir here at Freedom. If anybody didn't know that, we have an active choir, maybe not in the last 16 months, but that's a group that meets, I think. Do you still meet on Thursday morning, Barb?
It's not meeting for a while yet.
But was it on Thursdays?
It was Thursday mornings at 10.
Okay, well, keep that in mind. There's a lot of things that hopefully you'll enjoy about being in Freedom. The one thing I know you enjoy is the cooking. You don't have to cook anymore. Hi, welcome back. To my left is another new resident that we're gonna meet and greet today, Linda Lee. And so we'd like to know a little bit about you, Linda, where you came from, where you grew up.
Okay, I was born in Wichita Falls, Texas. Some of the Air Force people may recognize that name from the Air Force base there. And was raised in Texas and surrounding states. And I just thought it was really cool this morning that delivered to my door was the sweet roll.
Right.
That was Big Texas was the name of it.
Yes,
And I
it
thought,
was.
well, this is the place to be. Moved around quite a bit. By the time I was senior in high school, we had lived in 18 different houses.
You're military.
Oh.
No, I'm not.
You're not
But
military.
my dad was with J.C. Penney Company,
Oh,
so we got to go wherever he said it would be fun to go.
okay.
And we lived in Leadville, Colorado, and Santa Fe, New Mexico, and different, Fort Worth, Texas, and places like that that were fun
You
too.
saw a lot of the world.
I tried to.
Yeah,
That's one of
yeah.
my favorite things is
Well, how'd you
travel.
get up to Holland then, for Freedom Village?
Well, I moved here when my husband and I retired from our jobs in Philadelphia. We moved down to Bluffton, South Carolina. We were in a Sun City community
I know
there.
right where it is.
Loved it, loved it. But then things changed and it wasn't for us anymore. And my son and his precious family live in Grand Haven, and that was a draw.
Oh, sure.
And my daughter and her husband had just retired to out in the country in Kentucky, and that was not a draw. That just didn't sound exciting to me. It's a
Right.
beautiful place, but I was looking for something else, and looked and didn't have any luck. And Connie said, "Let's go to Holland for lunch." I said, "Okay." So she said, "Well, I think I know of a place that you might you wanna stop in and see." And I said, "Sure," just kinda discouraged. Walked in that front door and I thought, "Oh my goodness, this feels like
Oh,
home."
the Southern Plantation was when you
Yes,
first
it
come in.
did.
Yeah.
It just, everything about it was just positive to me.
Felt good too.
Yes. So I'm happy to be here.
What do you enjoy? What do you do for fun? What do you do with hobbies?
Well, my hobby in South Carolina was something I tried to bring with me and I haven't been able, I couldn't move my kayak with me. When you said you went kayaking, I thought maybe we can talk.
I've seen kayakers go down, so there must be a group here
Well,
in town.
I understand there is, and I did look into, and I found an outfitter that I think is gonna work once I get out of boxes. I'm not out of boxes yet, I'm still living in a box, so to speak.
How
But,
long ago did you move in? Can we
July
point and laugh?
20th. Yes, you can point and laugh. July 20th. But that's another thing is people who have lived here for a while say, "Oh, we still live out of boxes too," so they make me feel better. But
It did take us a while to get out and decide where pictures were gonna go, that kind of
yes,
thing.
yes. And I figured nobody's stepping over it but me, so that's okay. That doesn't bother me. There's no reason to worry about it.
Okay.
So my favorite thing to do is to kayak. And the group that I belonged with down in South Carolina, we were the Swamp Girls.
All right.
And we had such wonderful times in the Low Country.
Mhm.
And yes, we did kayak with alligators, and no, we didn't bother each other, and it worked out very well. But we've kayaked in Alaska twice, and and in Belize out to the Blue Hole where it was just an incredible adventure. And in the San Juan Islands off of Washington State, up in that area, and in Costa Rica.
So the Swamp Girls would travel and
Yes.
then kayak together?
Yes.
How big a group is it?
Well, now it's about, 6, 7, 8. Then it was 16, 17. We've all changed. And it takes more of us to lift a kayak than it used to.
Right.
So I had to sell my kayak when I moved here, but I found out that this outfitter
Right.
will provide it for me. So I haven't done that yet, but I
I
plan
think
to.
we've seen that in activities. I think activities has promoted a kayak.
Do some more, promote some more, okay.
Do you know where the activities office is?
Yes, I
Okay.
do. That's
You go
one
right
office
in
I
there
found.
and Tell them what you want.
That sounds great. I
They'll
would
put
like
it on a
that.
list and it'll probably pop up.
That sounds great.
So, I bet your son and daughter-in-law are glad to have you nice and close.
You know what? It's been a wonderful thing. I also have a granddaughter who just got married last Saturday, and her precious husband are in Grand Haven, and my grandson and his precious wife, and my new absolutely adorable, most wonderful great-grandson, 4
Oh.
months old.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I love being a great-grandmother.
That's wonderful.
Gigi Mom.
Gigi Mom?
Mhm. That's what I'm hoping he'll think is fun to call me.
Well, great grandma, mom, it's perfect.
Yes, well, it goes back in my family for a while.
Oh,
so
does it?
it's kinda-
Okay,
It's what you call a family name.
okay, well, just keep promoting it, it's probably gonna happen.
I hope so.
Wonderful, so glad to meet you,
Thank you.
welcome to Freedom Village.
Thank you. And I have felt very welcome
Good,
here. This is a good place to be.
It is a very good place to be.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hello again, we're back, and on my left right now is another new resident, Cindy Hardy. We wanna introduce her to you because she's fairly new. When did you move in, Cindy?
About 2 months ago.
So how are you acclimating to the building?
You know, I'm acclimating very well because the people that live here and work in the facility are go above and beyond helping the residents that are living here. So it's been my pleasure to get started, and if I have any questions, I can get them answered in a second or two, or they direct me. So they've been very nice.
Good, we're glad to hear that. Where were you born and raised?
I was born in Bay City, Michigan, and went to the elementary school and high school in Bay City, and then moved on to Delta Junior College, and then to the best university in the state, and that's Michigan State.
Go green.
I played sports all through school, even at the elementary school, and for some reason, which is a great thing for my athletic career, in high school and junior college and then the university, we had some outstanding athletes that ended up together at the same time. So in high school, we did very well. At the university in volleyball, we did outstanding in the games there. And so when I look back, the excitement is more the people in the getting together and then winning the games. That was the best part. So it was nice.
You mentioned volleyball. Did you play any other sports at Michigan State?
At Michigan State, I did not.
Did not.
Yeah, they expect a little bit more skill to play basketball at the university level, and so I played volleyball all the
Okay.
way through that time period there.
Well, it still is a hand-eye coordination that you must be really good at to.
Yeah, I used to be good at.
I saw you down with the walking club, so you've joined the walking club on Friday mornings?
I did, and I'm using a walker at the moment. Hopefully, soon I will not have to use it. And so Saturday, it was the first time that I went, and I was trying to find out if I could keep up with the regular walkers,
Okay.
or if I was holding them back with with my walker. And so I just kind of trailed along behind the group, and for quite a bit of time I stayed up with the regular walkers. So I was pleased that that happened for me, and for them that I didn't hold them back trying to let me play.
Yeah, I told you my story about our bike ride, didn't I? Terry and I, my husband and I, went on the bike group, which also leaves on the weekends. And I had a trike at the time, so I did the same thing you did. I wanted to see if I could keep up.
Yeah.
Well, they went on and we stopped at Jackie's for breakfast, cause I couldn't keep
Right.
up. So, what else do you do for fun?
Well, in the past, I've done a lot of outdoor programs. I've kayaked and hiked and just done all sorts of things. At the two universities that I was at, I worked in as a professional. I was the director of the university recreation program, and we always had an outdoor director, and so we had quite extensive outdoor programs. So we hiked the Inca Trail, we paddled in the kayak paddling, and did hiking and all sorts of things that were just, I had never done before at that level, so it was good.
And tell me where you moved from.
I moved from Michigan, and because of the cloudy weather here, I felt very fortunate to go down to Tucson, and I worked at the University of Arizona in recreation, where we built a facility at the time, and then up to North Carolina, and worked at the University of North Carolina at Greensboro, and just as I was leaving, they had built a $90 million recreation facility. So over time, and this is just the second story, over time, recreation had to play at a time later than classes and varsity sports, and at 9 o'clock at night, you could start recreational sports.
Oh, okay.
And so now with the recreational facilities, they don't include essentially athletics or classes or anything like that. From 5 in the morning, you can come in and do whatever you want, activity-wise, to participate in whatever's available at
Okay.
the facilities.
So like a gym.
Oh, gym, racquetball, swimming pool, aerobic machines, dance, you name it, they've all got them. I mean, they're very expensive, but the kids at the university love it.
Wow,
Yeah.
sounds wonderful.
It's unbelievable, actually.
Sounds like you've had quite a busy life.
I have had a busy life, sometimes better than other, but they've been very busy putting the facilities together. So the last facility I worked at, they built a I don't know if I just said that, a $90 million.
Right, yeah, you
okay,
did.
Okay.
You did.
So-
That was where, North Carolina?
At Greensboro.
Greensboro.
Mhm.
Okay. What about reading? What do you do for other activities?
Well, good and bad. I used to read a lot when I was in Tucson, and now because of the iPhones and stuff, the bad thing is I get to that before I start reading, which I don't do much of anymore.
Yeah, I think a lot of us are guilty of that. It takes up a lot of our time. Well, we welcome you to Freedom Village. You'll be
Thank
a
you very
wonderful
much.
asset, and we're gonna enjoy getting to know you better.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. Welcome back to another interview with our new residents, Jack and Jackie Lampka. I met Jack on the elevator. He seems like such a wonderful guy, so I'm interested in finding out more about these two people. When did you guys move in?
October of 2020, during the COVID.
Yeah, the high point, one
Yes.
high point of
Yes.
COVID. And why did you decide to come to Freedom Village,
Uh,
especially during that time?
Home maintenance got to be too much.
Yeah.
And we've heard that story here numerous times
Oh, yeah.
from numerous people. And we decided it was time to move to retirement community. And Jackie's college roommate is from St. Joe, and she heard about Freedom Village and tied us to Freedom Village.
You came to visit and liked what you saw.
Yes, we did. And we did some other research and investigated some other places
Good,
and
yeah.
landed here.
Well, good, we welcome you. We're glad to have you in the building. You were both born in Detroit,
That is correct.
the east side of the state. Is it Detroit proper that you were born in? Yes.
Yes, both of us, yes.
And what did you,
Jackie was from the west side, I was from the east side, and happily, we joined as a pair.
well, we lived in Mount Clemens for a while with a job transfer, but I lived in Detroit as a baby, but I don't really know the area. When you say East Detroit and West Detroit, Is that another city name or just
No.
Detroit?
no, Just Detroit.
Okay. And what'd you do in your work life, Jack?
I finished my career as a middle school guidance counselor. Before that, I taught math. I taught sixth grade, all subjects, and I taught physical education.
Wow. Very well-rounded. How long did you do that?
I was in education for 38 years, all happy years.
Oh,
I
wonderful.
enjoyed every minute, especially the last part of the career, with the middle school raging hormones, and I really enjoyed working with that age group.
Did you?
And many times people look at me and say, no, you didn't work with that age group, but I enjoyed every minute of it.
Oh, that's wonderful. We need people that can work in that age group. What about hobbies, interests, activities?
My credo is to learn something new every day, and I do that by doing crossword puzzles each day. I do a lot of reading. I'm very interested in history, very interested in geography. Spectators, selected spectator sports. I
Selected,
watch.
so who's your favorite football team?
University of Michigan. I attended University of Michigan and Wayne State. And I don't want to take issue with Cindy because Michigan State is a fine school, but academically, it's arguable.
Well, you will not be without friends. We do have a U of M MSU party every year.
Oh, good.
And there are a lot of others in the building that went to U of M. We kind of razz each other. It's kind of like, what's the college in Grand Rapids?
That C College?
Calvin?
Calvin.
And Hope, you know, so no matter where we were born and raised, we come here and now we compete for attention for MSU and Michigan State. We moved from Lansing, but that's not where we lived and were raised, so,
I would summarize by saying they're all wonderful schools.
right. Good job, Jack. I see here too that you were an official in the high school
I-
for sports.
I refereed football, basketball, and track and field for 30 years, mostly in the metropolitan area. I did not come this far west. I went from Detroit, in suburbs of Detroit where Jackie and I lived, to north to Flint. That's as far as I
Okay.
officiated. But I enjoyed that, and having an athletic background, I always emphasize to my students, you are a student first and you're an athlete second. And hopefully they absorb that.
Well, I think that's a good way to help them think.
Yes,
You know, athletics is wonderful, but it's not your primary.
exactly. They toss that term around, student athlete, and sometimes it's not true.
Right, right. Okay, oh, I have here that you were named to the Hall of Fame, the Officials Hall of Fame.
Are you sure? No.
That's what you told us.
I didn't tell you that, Jackie did.
No,
Yes,
I heard.
I was inducted into the Catholic Referees Hall of Fame after my 30th year.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
They appreciate good workers, don't they? All right, anything else you wanna share with us?
Not at this time.
Not at this time? Can I shift over to Jackie?
Absolutely.
All right, we're gonna move over to Jack's wife, Jackie Lamka. She has a very interesting background. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm a Detroiter, born and raised in Detroit public schools. Then when it came time for college, I picked the greatest university, Michigan State.
Go green.
That's not an issue with us.
No, it isn't with us either.
And I majored in communication arts, advertising, and journalism. I took a testing regimen at their counseling center because I liked so many fields and I didn't know what I wanted to do. And these tests were the best thing that ever happened because they led me to communications. And so I had the journalism and advertising. And after I graduated, I had a career at several places. Jack likes to say I couldn't hold the job, but I worked at a newspaper, at a large advertising agency in Bloomfield Hills, 2 PR firms, and then I got into corporate communications where I wrote and edited publications for Blue Cross, Michigan Bell, Park Davis when it was there. And I just loved the work. I loved the people I met because they were employees for one part of their life, but outside they had the most fascinating hobbies and you know, interests. So I always enjoyed meeting those people and writing about them. Then I did kind of get off track for a while. I joined American Greetings in Cleveland, where I wrote humorous greeting cards. And that was always a hobby of mine. I made cards for friends and relatives. And I have to say that I'd probably still be working there if I hadn't met Jack, and he made me a better offer.
And American Greetings just could not come up to that level.
Well, not in the romance department. And then we lived in suburbs of Detroit. When we retired, we moved to Canadian Lakes near Big Rapids.
Okay.
Golfing and tennis community. And, excuse me, we enjoyed that very much. But as Jack mentioned, we decided the outdoor maintenance was not for us anymore. So we, through my friend, we heard about Freedom Village, and I can't say we could have found a better place. I mean, we didn't do a lot of research, but it is just perfect. Like, he likes to read. He's at our beautiful library twice a week, all kinds of wonderful selection of books, and the reading. And I like music. I love music of all types, bluegrass to Beethoven. And the programs they have here, the musical programs and the tours to the symphony and the Holland American Legion Band.
In the summers, yeah.
Oh, just wonderful programs, and all the talent with the symphony and the band. I just looked forward to those trips. So
We have a very active activities department.
oh,
And residents sit on that committee, and they make advisements to the staff to say, this is what we'd like to do, this is where we'd like to go. When Freedom Village cranks back up, which we hope won't be too much longer, you will just be in heaven, because we have a lot of musical programs, a lot of them.
oh, I know.
Violinists and cello, and of course the symphony.
And
It's-
the Boogie Woogie King,
Yes,
Up
yes,
here last-
the Dakota Inn, have you been,
Outstanding.
fabulous.
have
I
you
mean,
been at the Dakota Inn?
Oh,
Oh,
my
yeah.
gosh.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he played at the Dakota Inn, and that was wonderful when we were living there. We were in with a race walking group, and so they kinda took us around the different places or joints, if you call them that, to get us used to the Detroit area, and it was wonderful, the Dakota Inn.
Right.
Yeah. All right, what about anything else? We know you love Scrabble, is there anything else you love?
Well, the music, and I like to read. We get USA Today and read that every day, and a couple of news magazines. We like current events, and just like meeting the people here. And like I say, we go for walks outside. It's such a beautiful city, and we're right next to that beautiful Riverside Park with the thousands of tulips. Oh,
And Windmill Island,
yes.
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
this is location.
Oh, it's perfect.
Downtown, Hope College, Windmill Island, I mean, it's all right here, the bagels on 7th Street are wonderful.
Yes.
Okay, well, we hope that everything forward is more positive. We'll be so happy when Freedom Village gets cranked back up, the two of you will really enjoy it.
Well, right now, we hardly have room on our calendar go to so many programs and events, if they have more, we'll need another calendar.
Might be a his and hers deal, huh?
Yeah.
One last thing,
All right,
certainly the staff here is outstanding, but I would like to give a special plug to the library staff. The highest accolade, they do such a wonderful, wonderful job, and the library is open, of course, 24/7, and we just enjoy going there all of the time.
very nice, it's very quiet. You'd think in a building this large, you wouldn't find a nice little serene spot like that.
But those volunteers do such a great job, and I'm not putting down the rest of the staff because they do an outstanding job too, but accolades again to the library staff.
Well, they'll be happy to hear it, they do put a lot of work
Good.
in.
And
Make sure that message
I'd like
gets-
to give some accolades to the activities department, because they come up with such a wide variety of programs, and they're top quality programs. The
And remember,
musicians are
this is
professional.
coming from residents too. So if you wanna be on a committee that makes decisions on who comes into this building, you can do that by joining that activity.
Yeah, we're just spending these first few months getting acclimated and
Mhm.
knowing what's going on, but
Well, and
we'll
that's,
be more
yeah,
active.
that's what you should be doing, is getting used to your house.
We also are still emptying boxes.
You and Linda Lee, huh?
If you need any more boxes, Linda, we have some.
I may need some help, but I need a couple boxes.
Welcome to both of you. We're
Thank you
glad
very
you're
much.
here.
Thank you,
Nice to
we were
meet
happy
you.
to-
Enjoyed talking with you.
All right. Good morning again. We're still in the midst of interviewing some of our special new residents. And the gentleman sitting next to me on the left is Mr. John Hughes. What did you do for a living, John?
I was an environmental health inspector for the Alameda County in California,
California. For how long did you do that?
33 years.
33 years, health inspector. You better tell the kitchen, heads up.
Well, the environmental health inspectors, we worked in all kinds of activities that I tell people is from when you wake up in the morning till when you go to bed at night. We worked in the laws that regulated your activities during that time of being awake and up and about.
Okay,
So it wasn't just food, it was
environmentally, like,
septic tanks, water supply
Septic, okay.
systems, swimming pools, schools, mobile home parks.
I'm thinking of COVID right now with the schools, and I know they're doing air cleaners, that type of thing. Did you get involved, would you have gotten involved with something like that?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
I went to college in Washington State, up in Pullman, Washington, and earned my degree in bacteriology, public health. And, then day after I graduated, I went from cold Washington down to California to go to work there.
Day after?
Yep, I
Wow.
didn't wanna stay in Washington any longer. It's
Didn't
too
wanna
cold.
be.
Yeah, when it gets to be 30 below, that's too cold for me.
That's too cold for me too, John. I see that you and your wife had 2 children.
Yes,
This next figure kind of amazes me. From 2 children, you have 13 grandchildren.
that's true. But I'll tell you the story. My daughter is a Van Kloppenberg, and there are some Van Kloppenbergs living here.
Bobbin Island. Yeah.
Yes, that's her in-laws.
Okay,
And, I met my wife who was born here in Holland, and while I was in California.
okay.
And, we got married in 1959, and I got drafted in the Army at that time, and was assigned to work at Fort Detrick, Maryland,
In Maryland, okay.
which is otherwise known as the German Warfare Laboratory. If you've seen anything about the Chinese laboratory on TV, that
I mean, the
was
Wuhan?
Yes, that's the
Wuhan?
American version of it.
Oh, the American version, okay. And what was the military doing?
We were doing German warfare research, just like the Chinese.
Gotcha, okay. And because you were a bacteriologist, that was why they
As soon as
wanted
I
you
got
there.
drafted, I never even finished basic training because they saw I said bacteriology degree, so they sent me to Maryland right away.
Okay.
And, so I worked in the labs for 2.5 years. And I got married about a month after I got drafted, and my wife, who was born here in Holland, Michigan, by coincidence, she moved to Maryland to be with me. And, we spent the time together there, getting acquainted with the scenery of Maryland and all that. And then over the years, we like to travel. So we retired on the same day in 1998. She was an administrative secretary and I was working with the health department. And she was 52 and I was 54.
So you retired fairly young.
Yes, and
Had a
so
lot of nice years to travel.
we did. We went on 37 cruises and about 10 tours in Europe. And we saw every country in the world that we wanted to see. And then later in life, my wife developed Alzheimer's and passed away in 2016.
And where were you living when she passed away?
Alameda, California.
You were still out in
Well,
California?
actually, Fremont, California.
Fremont?
Yeah, that's in San Francisco Bay or near San Jose.
Okay.
It's
How
only
did you
clean-
get to Holland, Michigan then to come to Freedom?
Well, my daughter and family live in Zealand, and so in visiting them, I also knew people who were living here that I had met on tours and elsewhere. And Gordy and Trudy Smith was the name.
Right, I know Gordy and Trudy.
They were people we met on a tour in
Okay.
Frankfurt, Germany, and stayed friends after that. And there was my daughter living in Zealand 9 miles away was a good incentive.
You
to-
bet, and grandchildren, you bet,
Yeah,
yeah.
cause I looked around after my wife passed away and there was no relatives in California.
Right.
So it was time for me to move, and since I was familiar with this facility already and the area, there was no question where I was gonna go live.
Well, we're glad you chose Freedom. What do you like to do for interest or fun or?
Well, I have had artwork here, as Madeline knows,
Hung here in the auditorium?
yes,
Oh, all right.
and we've had different pictures. I tell people I live on Artist Row, because there's 3 of us that have had our pictures up on there, they live close together.
Are you a watercolorist?
No, I was an acrylic,
You do acrylic?
yeah,
Okay.
and woodworking and
So have you been to the woodwork shop downstairs?
well, my woodworking consisted of acquiring pieces of driftwood from San Francisco
Oh.
Bay and then converting them into small little town villages that you can hang on a wall and
That sounds fun.
yeah,
I mean, not the work, but the view.
yeah. And then making it look like ghost towns, the old western
Right,
towns.
right. Sounds like small articulate work.
Well, they're about this high and it's about that wide, one of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'd like to see it. Maybe you'll have one on display in the next art.
Well, it's possible, yes.
Yeah.
Whenever they have one.
Well, we have them quite regularly. The only other thing I see on your bio is that you enjoy playing cards.
Well, I did for a while. We used to have a group that played pinochle once a week, and that was when I was in the military. And as a GI and married, we didn't have much else to do.
There is a pinochle group here in Freedom.
Yes, I played
Okay,
with this group
okay.
here.
And there is a hand and foot group.
I played that with my brother-in-law and his
Did you?
wife.
That's a fun group to get into, very open. If you can join or not, go if you want to. So, well, I think we've covered except you do like cooking and
Yes.
baking
Yes,
and gardening.
yes. Well, the gardening, I don't do much of that here.
We do have garden spots out in back.
Yeah, well, that's fine. I decided after 55 5 years of taking care of my yard in California. That was sufficient.
Maintenance, Jack, maintenance.
Exactly.
Sufficient for me in pruning, cause they had 357 growing days a year in California where
Yeah.
I was.
We don't have that in Michigan, but
And
the
that-
rest of it's
that
maintenance.
They never quit growing. And
Right,
So
right.
I had to mow the lawn every week.
How about winemaking? You still doing that?
No, I don't do it anymore, cause I just drink it.
Were you, right, were you in competition with Napa Valley when you were out in California?
Well, I entered my wine in the Alameda County Fair and got first prize.
Did you
for
really?
amateur winemaking.
All right. You're very accomplished.
Well, I had hobbies, and so I would get tired of doing one hobby and I'd go to another one.
Yeah, but you seem to do them quite well. I move around too, but I don't ever get good at anything.
Well, I like to bake and I like to cook, and, cause my wife Faith did not like to cook. She would make salads, as long as it was cold salads. But, when we first were married, she burned the Thanksgiving turkey and that was it.
That was it, huh?
No more cooking.
So you stepped up and did the cooking.
Yeah, I enjoy it, cause I always thought of cooking as like chemistry. You get directions and you get ingredients and you follow the directions and you consume what you get.
Right, right. Well, we're glad you're here at Freedom Village. You have so much to offer all of the residents of Freedom Village. Very interesting.
Well, they give me a lot of chance to participate in things here.
Yes.
While I was here earlier, I was part of a group that, or just myself basically, collected telephones. I don't know if you remember that, for Verizon.
You mean
Cell
cell phones?
phones, yeah. As, my daughter she has with her, 9 children, she had a lot of cell phones. And when she got new ones, she just kept the old ones.
Right.
And so when she had maybe a half a dozen or more of them, she wondered what to do with them, so she called around and found out that Verizon was collecting cell phones for distressed women's facility.
Oh, I think I did hear that. Are they still doing that here in
I
Freedom?
don't know, cause I used to be able to drive over to the Verizon store and to donate them, but I don't have a car anymore, so.
Well, they'll get it over there for you.
Well,
Somebody will, or a resident will say, I'm going to the mall, let me have what you got. The Verizon store's right out on West Shore. So,
Well, I didn't do that, but one time I put out a notice here, and then, people responded nicely and donated phones, which I transferred to Verizon. And, so that was an interesting thing, and then I got involved in baking and with carrot pies that I enjoyed here, and Terry appreciated them,
and recipes.
yeah.
They're always open, everybody, the kitchen is open to your recipes. They'll adapt them to feed 300 people. But if you have a recipe that you like and really wanna have,
Well,
or something that you think about that you'd like to eat, you can give it to Terry Tucker, he will look at it.
well, he did, and he made a pie for everybody in the building,
Isn't that wonderful?
yeah.
It's just like being in your own house, only somebody else does the work.
They were all the small little aluminum
Little
foil
tarts,
and
the
pie
tarts.
tins, and he passed them out around to everybody, and that
Good.
was good. And, I have had occasion to use those recently at the county fair. I had some submitted for that, for
You submitted a pie to the county fair?
3 of them.
3 of them?
At the county fair, that was Freedom Village County Fair.
Oh, our county fair,
Yeah,
okay,
they
the
were-
one in the
they were-
backyard,
They were gonna cut them up for scholarship money.
right, oh yeah,
So I made 3 of them and submitted them, and they were cut up into pieces and used.
wonderful, wonderful. I'm
So-
glad you're here.
So gardening was another hobby, and stamp collecting was one, and
I didn't see that in your biography,
No.
stamp collecting.
I had an amateur radio license,
Ham radio I did see.
yeah. And when my wife passed away with dementia after about 5 years or so, I looked around, I decided there's no reason for me to stay in California.
Right.
But I had met people here, and then I been here before, so, and my daughter living in New Zealand, it was natural for me to give up my housekeeping in California and move here.
Well, those are always hard moves when we lose a spouse and that forces a move. But we're glad you picked Freedom Village. We'll be happy to get to know you a little bit further. And welcome.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. People ask me, what's it like living in Freedom Village? I tell them, it's kind of like being on a cruise ship that never leaves the dock.
Right, right. Thank you, John.
I want to thank the guests who came today and told us their story. I do believe we have the cream of the crop here, and it's wonderful. We really, really look forward to getting to know you better. And Lynn, thank you for a wonderful job of interviewing them. If you live on the second floor, look for Cindy Hardy. If you live on near 518, Lee and Diana Strebel. 363, Linda Lee. Jack and Jackie Lamka, 625, and John, 404. We're all going to John Hughes's apartment for a home baker pies.
Yes.
But I want all of you to,
Oh, we have to give them a
I
warning.
want all of you to take your pens out and circle the date of Thursday, September 30 at 3 p.m. hopefully. Gather because dining services will serve cream puffs. You will fix a cup of tea or whatever you want in your apartment, and we will meet some more new residents to Freedom Village. Thank you for being here, Linda. Thank you for doing our filming.